Patrick, and we put together a presentation um, called Simple Steps to Market Pinterest for Profits. So basically, what we wanted to go over with you today is that how you can use Pinterest for profits. I'm going to turn off my camera because I think that's just distracting at this point. And I really want you guys to be watching the presentation. Um, okay, so Pinterest for profits. What I see Kim, so maybe she'll be coming on. Pinterest for profits. This is Kim and I. Why should you market on Pinterest? That's the number one thing that people don't understand is why you should Pinterest use Pinterest for marketing. And that's because people spend more time on Pinterest than Facebook. People are on Facebook a lot, but people are spending more amounts of time on Pinterest these days. The biggest benefit that I find is that Pinterest traffic is long-term traffic, meaning that it's not just, like Twitter where you tweet something today and then you don't see it again, and it's gone in 20 minutes to a half hour. Pinterest traffic is long term, meaning you'll see traffic today, and then you might see repins in 2 weeks. You might see repins in 2 months. You might see them in a year. I have a pin on my board that I pinned last Thanksgiving. It was almost 50 months ago, and it's still getting repins. It's up to 2,200 repins, and it's still getting repins 50 weeks later. So that's much, much longer traffic than any other social media website. The other benefit for Pinterest marketing is that it's a small effort for a really big return. You can pin something, as I already mentioned, once, and it just keeps working for you over days, weeks, months, and years. And that's much longer than a tweet, which will be gone in 50 months. No one will ever even know you tweeted that tweet. So we will keep moving on. This page did not transfer over. This is Pinterest for mobile. And the reason that you want to be on Pinterest is because 75% of the people that use Pinterest do it on their smartphones. And more people are only using smartphones and not using their computers at all. So if you don't have a mobile strategy, you're going to be in big trouble very soon because everything is mobile. So Pinterest is perfectly optimized. If you haven't tried Pinterest on your phone, it'll be your new addiction because it's crazy addicting. You can just scroll through. One pin takes up the whole screen. It looks amazing. So that's where you want to be. That's where you want people to find you when they're at the bank waiting in line, just trying to, spend a little time, in line while you're bored. You can pull Pinterest up. I will do it in 2 seconds. You just pull Pinterest up and it's right there. 2 seconds on your phone and it's up and you can just scroll through it so quick. Why do people pin? That's another reason that you need to know before you start marketing because you need to know that your customers are going to be where you're going to be doing your market. So the reason that people go to Pinterest is to be inspired. They want to find an idea for dinner. They want to find where they're going to go for vacation. They bookmark. Bookmarking is honestly my number one thing that I do on Pinterest is I create resource boards for myself and for other people. I love creating Pinterest boards on Pinterest, which is kind of meta if you think about it, but I love to do that. I create huge boards that I've been building on for now, I think almost 3 years. Pinterest is, I think, 3 years old. I've been on since the beta, and I've built cupcake boards and Pinterest boards and vacation boards. But another reason that people go is they go to promote their brand, which is what you and I will be doing. And Kim, if Kim has and I are working on an event like this, we'll create a pin, we'll put it on Pinterest, and then over, a couple weeks, people will see it and repin it onto their Pinterest boards. And then you want to go into that middle spot. I think I can write on here. Ooh, look at that. That's where the sales happen, is in the middle of the bookmarking, the inspiration, and the brands. That's where your sweet spot is for social selling on Pinterest. That's where you want to be. So as a brand, you want to provide inspiration and great stuff for people to bookmark that's going to be repinned over and over again, and that's where people will find you. I feel really bad. I can tell that Kim really has like a whole bunch of stuff she would add in here if she could spin it. So maybe she's telling you guys stuff in the comments, I hope. Pinterest motivates buyers. That's another huge reason for you to be on Pinterest. 47% of US shoppers have made a purchase from a Pinterest referral. It's kind of like a referral from a friend. For example, if Kim pinned something that she liked on her favorite dinner recipes, without Kim actually sending that to me, I know that Kim loved this recipe, pinned it on her favorite recipe board. That to me says it's a referral. Kim could have found that pin from the Pinterest popular board. That could have been a sponsored pin. I found a great pin that was a promoted pin from Craft for a recipe that I pinned, and then other people repinned it. So that's a Pinterest referral. When you repin it, you're actually telling all of your followers that you liked it and you're sharing it. And that's how when we follow people, we are actually referring. So it's something to think about actually when you're creating your Pinterest content, to make sure that all the things that you pin are things that you would want to refer, because you are actually referring them to people. So there's a lot of statistics on that, but it's really interesting, I think. Okay, so pinners also buy. They are motivated buyers. Pinterest generates more revenue per click than Twitter and Facebook, which is really surprising because Twitter is a powerhouse for getting the word out. And Facebook, I think we all thought was the ultimate refer for our friends because it's all of our friends on there. But Pinterest is just a more subtle way, and I think that's part of what makes it really, really beautiful, is that you really aren't, pushing your things in people's news feeds or notifying people, even though Pinterest does have messages and notifying now. Pinterest, you just kind of find the things that you like. And that's what makes it really beautiful, is like the just search, they're not search like Google, but it's discovery. And so when you're looking for something that you're interested in, other pins will pop up. And those related pins are also things that they're referring to you. I can see Kim's adding comments. That's awesome. uh, Trust drives action, and that's where you connecting with the people that you follow is actually helping make those referrals. So people trust things that they see on Pinterest. So one of the first things I would say is to make sure that you're pinning things and checking where the pins go. I actually had one that I pinned the other day, and it didn't lead to where the graphic said that it led. So I made sure that I switched it, and I actually contacted my friend Jeff, who is in the audience listening, and I said, "Hey Jeff, change the link on yours too because I wanted it to go to the right spot." So trust drives action. When you create pins, you want to make sure that you're giving the right information to people. So if you want to do your marketing, what you want to do is create a beautiful pin, make sure that it links to the right place. If you see that people have repinned your things, sometimes people change the link. So that is not going to build trust at all. If people click on that and it goes to the wrong place, there used to actually be quite a bit more spam on Pinterest. I think they have really, really hammer down on that. I think a lot of people report it. I know I report it. Kim's nodding. She reports them too. Um, so 81% of women trust Pinterest as a source for information and advice. We all have heard the statistics that there are mostly women on Pinterest. There's a few guys on Pinterest. Amen for those few guys that are on there. Actually, getting back to my friend Jeff, he does a manly Pinterest tip show. So if you need some guy pinning advice, you can hit Jeff up. But it's really not just for women. It's basically for anybody who is interested and has passions in a bunch of topics. It's not just women. So even though I put that in there, that's a great statistic, but the trust can be for anybody. It does not need to be just a platform for women. Um, so you want to make sure when you're creating your marketing that you're thinking about building trust. And in social media, one of the things that builds trust is being consistent and reliable. So you want to create beautiful boards with specific topics and then put information on there that will consistently provide content for people to learn from. I know Kim and I both are bloggers and we're both interested in social media. Beyond interested, we both work in social media. So for us, we pin a lot of things that are about social media. And then we would pin things like our own blog content. And we would also pin things like this webinar, a conference that we were going to go to, anything that's related to what we talk about the most, we would share a lot of that information. And then people know that we're a trusted source when they have questions about social media, whether it's Twitter, Pinterest, or anything, people can ask. Do you have, Kim, do you have any information on how to use Twitter? And Kim's going to say, yes, I have so much. I have a whole board that's all Twitter tips. And then she can share that pin. She can share a pin. She can share the whole board or her whole profile. So those are things that build trust with people long term, knowing that you're a consistent source on a consistent topic. And as a small business, that would be whatever your business is about. If you are, for example, a dry cleaner, which is a very hard topic for Pinterest, but it's totally doable. If you're a dry cleaner, you would pin things related to garment care. You would pin things related to fashion, different seasons, closets, things like that. So you have to figure out what your customers are talking about, what's interesting to them, and then you build up your Pinterest persona around that to build trust. Okay. Next, we have that one, that one. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Pinterest sales funnel because Pinterest, even though it is a lot of fun, it's also marketing. So we want to get to like a little bit of the more hard-hitting marketing topics, and that would be your sales funnel. So basically what a sales funnel is, the top of the funnel is the awareness stage, and that's where people just kind of maybe see your pins, maybe they don't repin them, maybe they just look at them, but they don't really interact with them too much. So these people are trying to solve a problem. They want to know what to make for dinner, where to go on vacation, questions like that. That's where you need to help someone. So part of your pins need to be helpful. So when people are in the top of the sales funnel, they are trying to solve a problem or meet a need. When they're in the middle of the funnel, which is where 60 to 70% of the people stay, which is the middle of the funnel, this is where they're thinking about what they should make for dinner in a more concerted effort. So they're going to get past, you need to get people past the midway with things that connect them, like gated content. So in your mid funnel where you're going to connect, maybe you would have something that says, I have a great webinar. If you want to go to it, click here. They would go to your website, see more about you, sign up for the webinar, which would also be giving their email address, and then they get to know you even better. Then they're going to get your emails, they're going to get to know more about you. We've all heard the figures that, and it's probably changed, but that it takes like eight customer touches in order to make a sale. And I think as social media goes on, that number may be expanding even more. So you need to think about that. Someone isn't going to buy from you the first time they meet you, the second time they meet you, the third time, it may be even the 10th time. So keeping your awareness at the top of the funnel is great. Being in the middle of the funnel is great, but you have to move people past there, and you need to do that with things like gated content or to build up your email list, which is where I know Kim will agree, your real money is in your email list. That's where you need to really get people. For bloggers, any marketing, email is really the place where once you make that email connection, then you can truly connect with them in a more personal way. And then that leads you to the bottom of the funnel, which is sales, which is where obviously you want to be. So when you're at the bottom of the funnel, this is where people will buy. And it's more than just closing a deal at this point because you want your customer relationships to be long term. So this is this that you're going to take. And you could have people kind of vacillating between the different steps, but you really want to make sure that you're getting people to go beyond the awareness stage with calls to action, saying click here to see more information on my blog. Doing in your middle range, you want to do things like add email signups and um, building your list. And then the bottom of the sales, you're actually nudging them to buy. You want them to actually click to make a purchase at some point. And at all these stages, you want to make sure that you have rich pins set up. So those will add a lot more information and value to your website and to your viewers. So one great way to get past the awareness stage is to cross-pollinate your Pinterest presence across social media. And you want to do that by sharing your pins across other social media platforms. I really don't see enough people doing this, and I think it's really the way that you build really rich long-term traffic. It's going to end up helping you so much for your website, for social media, for all of your different things together. So some ways that I cross-pollinate are I add a pin of the day hashtag onto, not on my Pinterest post, but I add that on Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus. I've seen it on Tumblr. And that, if you click on the pin of the day, that will take you to a lot of people's favorite pins that they have chosen and they love. Jeff C., who I've already mentioned several times, he's taken pin of the day to the next level where he actually makes a special post and he makes it that the pin of the day, and he features someone else's content, which is a great way of highlighting someone else, featuring someone else, and it just tells people that's your most important content of the day. I only publish like once or twice a week. So, my pin of the day is very rarely my own content. It's almost also other people's content, which is something that you make sure that you're not only pinning your own content. I already said to share the Pinterest content around. Make sure that you share your Pinterest links other places. Sometimes when I tweet, I will add the link to the actual post on my blog, and I'll pin it for later right in the tweet. If you have a short enough title, you can fit both in there, and it really builds your Pinterest your traffic as it goes all along. And then I also like to add a pin it for later link. And that's just a link to Pinterest with a call to action, pin it for later. So I usually say, read it now and pin it for later with both links. And that literally says, please pin this so you can read it later. A lot of people will, I'm not sure if you just lost me in sound here. A lot of people, sorry, people. A lot of people will actually click on it and save it for later. And I use that. Other people use that. It's a great way to stay connected. And anything that you do on social media, you want to have a call to action. That's what's going to take people from the middle of your sales funnel to the bottom of the funnel. You want them to save your stuff. If they don't, everybody's busy. If you add that pin it for later link when they are on their smartphone on the go, picking the kids up from school or wherever they are, they can pin directly from their phone. They could be on any other social platform. You could be on Twitter and click pin it for later. It takes them to Pinterest right to the link to pin it. So you're making it so easy. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to see your information, to share your information, and to find it when they need it so they can organize it with their bookmarking on their boards. So, a little bit more about how to build your email list with Pinterest because it's a great way to get to build. I think eventually maybe your email list can stagnate, and I think you need to try new things to build your email list as well as to keep your email interesting that you're sending to people. You definitely don't want that to get stale. So one great idea that I saw actually on Pinterest business guide, and it was an example from Sony, is that they created an email campaign and they introduced their Pinterest presence. That's all the email was about. Hey, come find us. We're on Pinterest. And people went crazy and just started pinning their stuff. And what they had found was that a lot of people had already been pinning their content, which they weren't aware of it. That's the best place to be, is if you're a brand where people already are pinning your content, you're in luck. But even if they are, you still want to keep building the momentum. So you can create beautiful pins to invite people to follow you on your email. I think that's another thing that people don't very often do. But if you're a business or somebody who's building your email list, put a pin up and say, I'd love you to sign up for my email list and link it right to MailChimp or eWeber or AWeber or whatever, whoever you use Constant Contact. Collaborative boards are a great way to build your own presence because collaborative boards, you're sharing your network with other people. I have some really great collaborative boards that I've created, but I've been very lucky to be invited to a couple that my best pinning comes from these group boards from people that have more followers than me. So if you are a brand or a small business and you have a certain topic that you're pinning on, and your fans or customers could also join in that, invite them to pin on your board, and then that will help build your network and that your their network because it ties all your numbers together. You can add a pin it button to your email. You could also put on the bottom of your email. I love that the people that work at Pinterest, if you get email from them, they have a great little widget that says currently pinning on this board and it highlights their favorite Pinterest board. And I really love that. That's a great way to show people your very favorite content. I also have a Pinterest widget in the sidebar of my blog because I love Pinterest so much. I want people to see my pins and share my pins. I like to also embed the pin widget for the blog post at the bottom. I try to use all the things that Pinterest, all the tools that Pinterest gives me to build widgets, to build pin widgets, um, pin it button. I do all the things that they offer. And you should definitely have a business account if you're going to be doing any kind of marketing, because that's when you get all the analytics that you need. So here's a little Pinterest plan for you. This is going over a little bit more of the basics that I didn't go over at the beginning because we were talking more about the marketing. But if you want to have just a basic Pinterest plan, you want to think about what you want to pin to do your marketing, and that would be your blog content. Don't forget to put videos because they will play right on Pinterest. SlideShare presentations, again, if you pin a SlideShare presentation, you can view it right in Pinterest. So it's a great experience. People don't even have to leave. They can just view the slide share and then they can pin it on their boards. You can tweet it right from there. It's really great. Infographics are amazingly popular on Pinterest. People love infographics. They're nice and long. They take up a lot of space. They're easy to read there. And GIFs also play on Pinterest now, which are fun. The basic elements of a great pin, these are the things that I've learned from the people at Pinterest. They don't give you a lot of guidelines for Pinterest. They don't tell you what to do. They really want people to enjoy Pinterest and just make it their own. But these are the guidelines that I have found that work the best. You want to have a really nice, clear image that you have permission to use that looks good in the news feed there. I use 735 by 1102 pixels because it's nice and long. 735 is the maximum width that will preview without being condensed in Pinterest. So if you did want to do a square, you could do 735 by 735, and that would also go well on Instagram, which I love. They really don't like borders on images. So if you create an image, just don't do borders on it. That makes it more popular. Use minimal text, but still have enough on there so people can see what your pin is about. If you look in the little image I have on there, the Pinterest tips board, that one says seriously boost your Pinterest strategy. So I have a little text on there. It's maybe a little bit more than the 20% that Facebook, tells you should have, but I try to keep it to a minimal so it's more about a picture. I try to create a visual story for my pins. And then another important part is an engaging description with a call to action. So you want to make sure that you're sharing something interesting. Um, you want to keep it, you can't write too much. You can write more than a tweet, less than a Google Plus post, for example. But you want to make it interesting, but you do want to say, click here to read more, check this out, something in there to give people an indication of what they should do next. So you want them to look at it now, but you want to make sure that they're going to pin it, save it, or click, whatever action is best going to help you out. So how you can achieve success with your Pinterest marketing is these are the things that I'm going to call the Pinterest gold area. The things that you can do that will help you as a brand or a blogger or just anybody who's getting started on Pinterest. You want to make sure that you are consistent, that you pin on different boards. You want to fill all your boards. You want to have more than 10 pins on each board. You want to create beautiful pins to showcase your product, which, you can come up with your own brand for that. You can have boards that have different themes and have different types of images. You want to provide helpful content that provides value. That's really important because a lot of people are just looking for ideas and inspiration on Pinterest. So you can be the one that gives them answers. You can be the one that shares great details, shares how to do things, shares videos that you created. There's so many different ways that you can provide value on Pinterest. it doesn't always need to just be an image. It can be a whole different variety of ways. So, variety is just spice of life. Make sure that you're, providing great stuff. I just heard say in in comments that they love Kim's Pinterest and they could stay there forever. And I have people say that about mine too. They just let different boards they like. It's really great just to provide a whole bunch of depth and different layers in your Pinterest. And then you can cross promote to other social media networks, as well as using gated material to build your email list. Which you don't have to do that all the time, but everyone has that idea. Move on. You're not going to make money if you never connect with people past the top or mid range of the funnel. If you don't get to the bottom, you're not going to get anywhere with that. So then our last thing that we wanted to talk about, and I think we do have, I think we can do questions and answers. I'm not sure how we do that, so maybe Kim can do that part if we can figure it out. But we did want to share that we do have a conference coming up that Kim is organizing for Boom Social. There's just a few of the people, maybe that's everyone, but it's an amazing lineup of experts that are going to teach how to do social selling in great detail. That my presentation today was just a little overview, and this the all the different presentations will be about Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. There's all different types of experts, and they're all going to be talking about how you can learn how to really make money on social media. So Kim has a little discount code on there. So if you go to that socialboomevent.com and use that discount code of Boom 150 right there, she can't say anything right now, but I just gave you the discount code, so now you can totally use it. Hey, I heard Kim. Oh, she came in for that part.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Kim.
I'm afraid to talk. I'm afraid
Oh my gosh. So
yeah,
what if you
I'll
could talk
mess
that whole
something
time?
up. Yay! Okay,
Oh,
awesome.
okay. Well, I saw some questions. Maybe
Well, I was
I'm going
afraid
to
to say
answer.
anything.
That's
That's
okay.
okay.
One question I'm going to answer first was, what is
Yes.
gated material? Jen Hart just asked that. Kim, do you want to answer that because you haven't been able to talk at all?
Well, actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to get another question before we get to that one. You,
Yeah.
because I saw it come first, and I think it's really important. There's a lot of questions about B2B, and you
Yeah.
have one. Can
I just lost Kim's sound. I just lost your sound,
uh,
Kim. It was a B2B question.
interest for one, and do you have some examples of some great B2B boards or oh,
I just lost you again, Kim. All I heard was B2B and then B2B boards. Kim's gonna type it. Okay. So I'll answer the gated material question quick first, because that one's actually kind of quick. Gated material is when you create something like an ebook or something special, and people just have to sign up with their email in order to get it. HubSpot is like, I think, king of all gated content. They create amazing content and it's gated, like this webinar. If you wanted to sign up, you provided your email address. It's really a low threshold in order to get great content. So the key is that you're providing people with great content, and it's kind of a give and take. Like they're giving a little bit of information and you're giving them a lot of information. So that's one way to build up your email list. I'm sorry that that term wasn't familiar. Okay, so Kim's question is, do you think B2B can be done on Pinterest? And do I have any great examples? Business to business on Pinterest. I think you can do anything to anything on Pinterest. I think it's like an unlimited, uncharted territory as far as who you can connect with. I think it depends on who your customers are and what type of content they're looking for. I mentioned dry cleaning before. That's actually one that's pretty hard to do because it's a very challenging um, topic area. But I have to tell you, I have connected with people on social media. I'm not sure if I have on Pinterest, but I do pin for a dry cleaning chemical company, which is about as tough as you can get. And I have about 200 followers, so it's growing and building. I think the key is to finding out who your customers are and then finding content that will relate to them. I don't have any examples off the top of my head. I wish Kim could talk so I could go look some up on Pinterest because I would share some. Um, but I don't have any right off the top of my head. I will find some and share some later. But I do think that Pinterest can work in B2B. One other company that I found, I'm trying to think of some examples of B2B. I don't have any off the top of my head, so I'm totally can't answer that. Okay, so someone else is asking, can I go on a little bit more detail about rich pins? Rich pins, maybe, hey Jeff, I know Jeff is watching. Maybe Jeff C can go on Pinterest and find some B2B Pinterest examples while we're talking. Um, so rich pins are when you have a business account on Pinterest, you can apply for rich pins. And what happens when you have rich pins, it adds extra information underneath each pin, which shares your blog site and the metadata that you add, like the little information that you write besides what the title is, like check out this great post on apple pumpkin pie making, and then that goes underneath the pin too. So it's extra information that Pinterest provides based on the link. So it gives more information than just your regular link. It adds all the metadata that you have on your blog. So it gives a lot more data. I think it's helping Pinterest now with their guided search a lot. I think it's helping categorize things and search things, and people that are using rich pins are seeing a lot of benefits from them. So if you don't have that already as a blogger, there is a section for blog. So if you're a social media blogger, you can go onto Pinterest, apply for rich pins. When you're a business account, you also get analytics, which are really, really helpful. And you don't get those with the regular account. So it's set up for bloggers, recipes. There's all different kinds of rich pins. I see people are sharing. People are sharing, yay. Oh, Constant Contact's a great example. Actually, HubSpot's a great example too, because HubSpot is on there as well. Sprout Social, actually, a lot of the social media companies are on there. Tailwind is another great one. Tailwind is a Pinterest company that does you can use their service to for in-depth analytics and Pinterest scheduling, and they do a lot on Pinterest, of course, because that's where their audience would be. So they are essentially selling to businesses. They're not really targeting like smaller users. They're like agency users. So they're like a mid-range B2B, not like an individual. So there's a lot of the social media companies are on there, and a lot of big blogs are on there too. BuzzFeed, for example, is a blog who they are focusing tons and tons of their time on Pinterest. They have like a team of people that works on their Pinterest. They have weekly meetings where they talk about what worked, what didn't. I'm really hoping that they invite me sometime because I'd love to hear what they share as their strategies. It's like their number one or two traffic referral now. They've changed their image strategy. They've changed everything visual about their brand to make it work more. And if somebody like BuzzFeed needs more blog traffic, I think that can relate to all bloggers, in my opinion. So I'm going to scroll back up and see if there was anyone else that had questions. If you have one, if you want to put it down in the bottom, I'll see if I can grab it. And I'm so sorry. I know Kim would say she's sorry too that we've had so many tech issues on this webinar. Maybe we can try it again sometime. I am so sorry. Okay, I'm looking for questions. Thanks to everybody for having a great sense of humor about it, by the way. And I will put the slide share up on SlideShare after, and actually maybe Kim and I will do it another time because I really wanted Kim's feedback on all the stuff I had on there. I knew she had a lot to say. So I didn't see any other questions. So if you guys have any, feel free to hit us up. Oh, somebody said, if I have a business account, does that mean you have rich pins? That doesn't mean that you have rich pins. You do need to go and figure that there's extra steps that you have to take. If you go into Pinterest for Business and type in the search rich pins, it'll give you step-by-step instructions. There's a teeny bit of coding. So if you're not familiar with how to do that, you might need a little bit of help. But it's totally worth it because it gives you tons of information. And I'm going to put the little thing back up. If you guys want to come and meet Kim and I in person, we will be in Tampa. I think Kim's in Tampa all the time, but I'll be in Tampa next month with Kim, and we will be there with Sue Zimmerman and Nathan Latka and Melanie DiDardo. And I'm just so excited to meet everybody that's going to be there. It's going to be really awesome. I see more. Should you have a business and personal account to keep things separate? Actually, no, you don't need to because um, part of the benefit of being a business on Pinterest is because people get to know who you are and see it's like a little visual storytelling and you create a bigger picture of who you are. So I thought about that a lot when I started because I do have cupcake pins and I am a professional, but you know what? I like cupcakes and I'm a professional. So I'm a multifaceted jewel, I like to say. So my Pinterest is kind of a reflection of all the things I like. I don't pin inappropriate things or humor that's off color or anything that I wouldn't want everybody to see. That's one thing you need to think about. But one of the things you learn the longer you're in social media is that you really can't keep your things separate from business and personal because everybody can see everything unless you really have everything on private boards. So that's just something to keep in mind. But there's no need to. Well, anyway, I have all mine on the same boards. Um, and what do you think, Kim? Should we wrap it up or Kim's like, I don't know. Any more questions? Can I change the username? I don't think that you can change the user information, Thea. You can try and Pinterest help and look that up, but I don't think that there is. Um, Tiffany's saying she's in college planning. She have a separate one for college planning and herself? Again, I say no, Tiffany, because you want people to know who you are. That's why they're going to know and trust you. So I would have all your boards together and just have some specifically for college planning and some that are things that you like, and just mix the two together so people get a great picture of who you are. So I am going to wrap it up. And if there are any other questions, you guys can either hit me up on my Facebook page or Kim on her Facebook page or tweet us at Peg Fitzpatrick or at Kim Garst. We both are on social media all the time. So we will look for your questions and try to answer them. And again, we are so sorry for all the technical issues. So, so sorry. And thanks for hanging in there, everybody. Have a great night.